chilling out here in the NV, LV, and we're at Menzies headquarters in the shop of all shops here. And this is actually a downgrade, which I can't believe compared to where you're at before, because it seems like hella space on what to do. But we're down here for a little AMA, and that's Ask Me Anything. It's where you, the viewer, can log in live and punch in your questions, and we'll get to ask Bryce as they come through. Nothing's off limits. Come on through, ask us anything, and we're going to see if Bryce can answer it in any type of truthful form. And if not, he might just come up with a really good lie that sounds good, and a couple of jokes in between. So we were just talking about, I don't know, the price of gold and oil on the stock market, but we'll probably get back to off-road racing here pretty quick. But Bryce, I got to ask you, you got a fantastic setup here, some good digs. Give me a little bit about, let me talk about early Bryce. I mean, I want to talk about wee little Bryce starting off, learning to walk, hopping on, coming out of the crib. Tell me about growing up early wee Bryce.
Yeah, I was born in Arizona, moved to Vegas when I was about 4 years old, and always been like a huge family aspect. Grew up riding dirt bikes, riding four-wheelers. My dad always brought us to the sand dunes. We had sand rails. And kind of just grew up always having fun on the weekends. My dad really worked really hard, during the week to give us, our whole family, kind of an awesome time on the off weekends. And we'd always go to the lake and just had an awesome upbringing. My family's been so good, and, started racing dirt bikes since I was little, kind of just local here and there outside a couple states, and grew up doing that and just always crashing. I don't know why, always weeding myself, broke about 10 bones. Finally broke my collarbone when I was like 16, blew that thing in half. It was like 6 months before I could even ride again, and that's kind of where my family was like, you know what, we need to put you in a cage, something where you can't get hurt as bad. So, we kind of knew somebody that prepped our sand rails named Bruce Raley, and he wanted to get into short course racing, so that's kind of how this whole thing started.
That's a pretty decent story, man. Were you any good riding two-wheel dirt bikes? I mean, did championships, glory trophies, or was it just super fun out with, your friends, pop, stuff like that?
I think I was really good in my head.
Yeah.
But, I won a couple races in, novice and whatever those classes they call it, but never made it to the big stuff, or never even got close to making it pro. So, just needed a different avenue to go down.
That's good. That's good. So, I mean, run me through. Sure, you kind of jumped ahead. Let's break it back down, slow it back down. About 2007, you decide, hey, buggies, let's get our feet wet, let's dive in, let's start that out. Run me through kind of your first race. Obviously there's got to be huge butterflies running through your stomach. You're going out to your first kind of short course. Was it core at the time, or
Yep.
What was it? Run me through that.
Yeah, we had Bruce Raley build us two single buggies. He was driving one, and I was going to drive the other. Never driven an off-road car in my life. The cars weren't done in time, so we kind of just showed up to the race, welding on them, finishing them. And we showed up, and it was core at the time, Antelope Valley. And there's probably, I think, 22 cars or something. And I'm like, what am I getting myself into? I have no idea what I'm doing. I had butterflies like no other, and at that time, you kind of they picked out of a hat and where you start. And I think I started 13th or something.
How old were you at the time?
It was 2007, so I was 17, 18.
Cat.
And, I went out there, started 13th, came away with a ninth place position. And I thought that was great because I had no idea what a shifter was, what the turning brake was, nothing. And went back to Sunday, and they drew me first. So I started first on the race course, and I'm like, this is absolutely horrible. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lost. I'm like, I'm going to freak out. So went around, won that day on Sunday, went up to the podium. There's 6,000 people in the stands, and they start talking to the mic, and they're like, how was the race? And I was like, it was good. And they're like, what the hell? They asked me another question. It's just short answers, and they're like, how was your spotter? And I was like, what is a spotter? I don't even know what a spotter was. I had no radio communication with anybody. And kind of from there.
Lone wolf, huh?
Yeah,
I can't figure that part out
We
yet.
just brought that thing to, go down, have some fun, and our main goal was, after that, we had a plane waiting in Antelope Valley. We were flying to Cabo to do a 4-day dirt bike ride. And after I won on Sunday, my dad, like he always does, is, he has to go bigger than anybody. So on that way down, he called, and we were ordering semis and pro lights and talking to Larry Jobe, which was one of my dad's good buddies who races with us, and who's the best racer, and he's like, Rob McCackran here in Vegas, and my dad's like, we got to have him on our team to teach Bryce, and that's how the Big Red Machine started.
The Big Red Machine. Now that's a perfect segue because, obviously before, the blue and red colors that we see now, it was the Big Red Machine. It was all about the M for Menzies, and now, we see a little bit different color pattern, with Red Bull as coming in as your title sponsor. How did that develop? You touched on it a little bit before, but how does a relationship like that get going? A lot of our viewers are chiming in. They want to know how they could get sponsored, but how did you go ahead and get sponsored?
Yeah, one of the biggest things was I had my dad backing me, and he threw, everything he had at it. He pushed and helped me through everything. He still helps me to today by, running it, helping me get to the race, all that stuff. So, I kind of just worked my way up. I started in single buggy, which is in short courses one of the lowest classes you can start besides trophy car. I got into that.
I don't think you'd fit in a trophy car.
I don't think I would either. Right? I'm 6'4", so probably be popping through my head through that thing. But I started in that, and my first year I won a championship. And right there and then my dad knew, we got to push him, keep going. Went to Pro Light, had not a great year. I won one race, and that was about it. And my dad always just pushed me, and I think with Red Bull and some of the main sponsors, you can't really just go to them and say, hey, with a proposal, I want you to sponsor me. Some of a big company like that they want young people up and coming, and they kind of came to us in 2010 and said, we want to sponsor your team, but we want to bring on, Ricky Johnson, which is 7-time, outdoor nationals, whatever, champion. And he won a Pro 2 championship the year before. Just crazy, all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
He want you part of the team, Ricky Johnson, to kind of mentor both of you and Luke Johnson. And, that's how we Red Bull came to us, and that's how we kind of paired the thing. And also with, KMC wheels, and since day one, I had BF Goodrich tires on my truck, and they're still with me, and great partner to have, and it's just been amazing.
That's not too shabby of a mentor to line you up with, Rick Johnson and LMFJ?
Yep.
Luke. But, that's Luke Effin Johnson, as he calls himself. But, that's a great thing to have. Now, we saw you out doing a little bit of lures last year, sprinkling, and then obviously a heavy focus on torque in the short course. Being a driver who's kind of gone back and forth, and especially mentoring under Rob McCackran, who does that heavily, can you maybe describe some of the differences between the Lures series and the Torque series?
Yeah, we started out racing Core, which slowly went under, and we switched to Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing, which is Lures. And we raced there for 2 years. It was great. It was an awesome time. They helped us a lot to get us involved in it, and I raced a Pro 2 for 2 years with them. And their series is, awesome. They have a great venues all out West Coast. So that was really good. But when Red Bull came a part of our team, they also sponsored the series of Torque. So that's kind of one of the main reasons why we went back there. And just being back there, we went in 2011, and me and Ricky both won championships. But just being back there and going to, some of the tracks, which is Crandon International. It's the Daytona 500 of off-road. It's absolutely amazing. And just seeing the different side of some of the racing back there has been amazing. And I love, racing in Torque for, the Traxxas Off-Road Series has been absolutely nothing but, nice to us and bringing us in. And, we're going to Chicago this year. We went to Charlotte live, and we got Chicago live. So, I think they got some really good stuff planned for us, and I'm just looking for another good year this year.
How would you describe maybe the tracks themselves, and maybe the crowds, the whole vibe that you'd see, from a Lucas guy watching it, maybe coming out to a race, a west, southwest guy, there's a certain vibe, but I know at Crandon it's a totally different vibe. Maybe compare those a little bit.
Yeah, out west, one of the biggest things I could say is out west, everybody's uptight, and when we go to the Midwest, everybody's just wants to have a good time, hang out, talk. Every driver wants to hang out and talk until we go. When we go racing, we put our helmet on and we're there for one job. But it's just real fun to be hanging out in the pits back east. And Crandon, we have sometimes 40,000 people, that are just, in love with the sport. They've been there for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So it's just been an amazing experience for me.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that those guys, line up and they'll camp for days on end to get to be a part of it. So, enough of me and my online questions, or on the spot questions. We got some online guys tuned in to check it out. We had some guys come up with some great questions throughout the day, and we're going to fire off some of these. So, this one's coming to us from Tom Willis, and that's asking, will Menzies be stepping up to the 42-inch BFG for Baja?
Yeah, we have been testing the BF Goodrich 42, which they came out with, about 5-6 months ago. We went and tested it right off the Baja 1000. We put it on the truck. The tire is absolutely amazing. The thing, you could hit boulders the size of cars, and the tire lives. So, we're looking forward to getting it on this truck. We just need a little bit more time to figure out, when you put that big of a tire on this truck, you got to figure out it's going to put more wear on the drivetrain. You're going to break transmissions. You're going to break all sorts of stuff. So we're just trying to do the right testing and figure out, when's the right time to actually put them on and go racing.
So the pros and cons. I mean, it's something new like that. You got to give it its due diligence before it, comes into actual competition level. But just this last Baja 500, getting to see, some other Red Bull teammates operate in it, that gave you probably some information and some background on how that did. So using that going forward in races to come. So what else? I got NC Wilbur. I think it's probably North Carolina Wilbur. What has been your favorite win, and at what racetrack?
Oh, man. One of my favorite wins, I would have to say, is last year at Texas when I won the Pro 2 championship, just because not just the track or what the place was, but just the feeling of winning the championship and having my dad there. I'll always remember that for the rest of my life. Was, we tried for 3 years and we finally got that, and pulling off of that track in Texas and knowing that we finally conquered that goal, and having my dad stand there and my family, that's going to stick in my mind forever. So Texas is probably one of the greatest wins.
That's pretty solid. You mentioned we tried for 3 years. I mean, this 3 years, to you is a long time, but 3 years to some of these 40, 50, 60-year-olds who are still driving these trophy trucks, that's just, a speck of dust in how long they've been around the sport. What do you think you would credit, such success that you've had on such an early age and an early part in your program? What would you really credit that success to?
Oh, man, success, I would have to throw it all out there to my dad, because the way he built this team and brought on, we have so many good people that work for us, and the reason we do so good is because the people that work for us, and they prep these trucks unbelievable. And that's kind of how my dad, he brought this team up as a business, and he knows exactly what to do, and that's the reason why we're doing so good right now.
Thanks, Pops. Appreciate that. I mean, if that's
He's the man. That's why we're here.
If that's going to push you through, anybody else out there who wants that immediate success, just hire Steve Menzies, I think. And if you could outspend him and get him to hire and run your program, you might have that same success. So, moving on more in our online questions here. Good old curmudgeon. Old curmudgeon wants to know, what was the most thrilling moment of the race for you? And I'm assuming he's talking about the 500. Were there any big scares that were going on?
Probably the most thrilling.
You talk about the water or whatnot?
Yeah, probably the most thrilling thing of this year's Baja 500 was, coming to the finish line at Ojos, which is 40 miles out of town. We were losing by 1:30 to BJ Baldwin. So within 40 miles, I have to make up 1:30 and put time on him. And coming into town, I've never driven this truck that hard in my life. I was blowing corners, almost hit a truck head on, came to the finish line so hot that I spun out, thought I lost a race just because of that. But that's probably been the most adrenaline race I've ever had in my life, was chasing BJ down at this year's Baja 500.
So it wasn't like this section or that. It was 40 miles of straight adrenaline pumping power going through the heart and everything that entailed.
Yeah, 40 miles of just straight chaos. I was out of control, never felt that, never ever done that in my life, just thinking, when are we going to crash and what's going to happen?
Your co-driver is right over there hiding in the shop. Pete Mortensen. Pete, tell me, were you feeling it? And what was going through his mouth, and how does he settle you down when you're in that truck?
He always stays calm. I was actually so focused at one point that there's a check stop.
He says you don't talk much.
I don't talk very much at all. I'm always super quiet until I get pissed off, and then I just start saying F-bombs and this and that and what the, just go crazy. And that's when he has to calm me down and say, stop yelling in my ear. But, going through that 40 miles, he's super calm. I don't think he really knew how out of control I felt like I was, which probably was a good thing. But, we made it, and we won by 11 seconds, and it goes down in history that, there's about 4 guys that have won back-to-back Baja 500s.
That's amazing. I mean, I think just a short course program, even a buggy program for anybody, would it be, enough to take on their entire year? You decided to do, Pro 2, unlimited in short course and torque, as well as desert racing. RK Racing types in, what type of racing do you like more, desert or short course? Or is it just basically like, you got your 2 children for different reasons?
Yeah, I've had people ask me that many of times, but
Every day,
but there's no real answer. I love both of them. The difference is kind of short course racing is, you get on the start line and you go 110%, wide open, as fast as you can go till the finish line. And when you go in the desert, it's a lot of strategy, mindset. I'm going to push till here, I'm going to back it down, and then I'm going to try to get to the finish. And that's kind of the whole thing. The thing I like about desert a lot is you're in the truck. This year, I was in the truck for 9 hours and 14 minutes. Where short course, you're in the truck for 20 minutes and you're done. But it's just so much adrenaline. Like a couple years ago, BJ Baldwin came and raced short course, and he's like, how do you finish a short course race and you say you're tired? I do the Baja 1000 by myself, and I'm worn out after that. And then he did it, and he's like, that's insane. Just so much adrenaline the whole time. Where at the 1,000 or 500, you'll be going for 100 miles and you'll be whistling to yourself because there's no one in front of you. You're hanging out. You're still doing 130 miles an hour.
Checking the scenery and the birds going by at 130.
Oh, man. But, that's kind of the difference between the two.
All right, and real quick, just a quick overview on the setups of trucks, because a lot of people might not be able to recognize, fully scaled a trophy truck versus a short course truck. Maybe just a quick overview on the differences. Yeah,
behind us is our trophy truck, which we race in the desert, which is...
You might not know it by this,
it's naked,
skeleton right here. Yeah,
I usually like, but it's a 2-seater. We have a passenger next to me, and it's about 800 horsepower. This thing has about 30 inches of wheel travel, and holds 84 gallons of fuel. Where on my short course truck, it's single seat, has about 18 inches of wheel travel, 900 pushing 900 plus horsepower, 2-wheel drive, just fury. The thing is so hard to drive. There's so much power going to it, and it only holds 14 gallons of fuel. So they're totally different. This thing weighs close to 6,500 pounds, and my short course truck weighs 4,000 pounds. So it's just totally different aspects.
And these are relatively unlimited, where there are some parameters behind the short course truck that you have to kind of build to spec in that. I mean,
yeah, definitely. Behind a Pro 2, it has frame rails, and they give you pivot points, which in the front arms you have to meet a certain pivot point to make your front arms and, lengthwise width, where trophy truck's unlimited. You can do whatever you want. It could be 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive, 10,000 pounds, 3,000 pounds. It kind of just whatever you want to do.
Okay, Pat Daly, got to get Pat on the line here. Good old boy.
Oh, great.
Oh, great. He wants to know what part of your body. No, I'm just kidding. He was thinking. He's been hearing some rumorville regarding the Red Bull No Limits, and we've obviously seen some weird things over the past with Pastrana jumping onto a barge, and I think Levi Lavalle and Robbie Madison doing the distance jump with the bike and the sled. Is there any pre-planning going on right now for something that you'd like to do or get involved with, or jump or smash or crash or something like that?
With Red Bull, they kind of say, when you come up with an idea, present it to us, and we'll look at it and see if it's worth our while. And our team, we're willing to do something like that. We're coming up with ideas, but at this time we don't have anything set in plan of for this year's no limit or any time coming. But it'd be really cool to do something with a Pro 2 truck, or hopefully the fans would like to see that, something where it's jumping or do something cool. So we'll see up in coming years if that happens.
Good point. Good point. All right. So this is a misspelling. It's Anahi, or it could be Anthony Mendez. Bryce, who will drive with you in the Baja 1000, or are you going to go for an Ironman mode? Tell us about what's scheduled for that.
Yeah, you know, going into the Baja 500 this year, Jesse Jones actually teamed up with us and actually helped us out get there. You know, we teamed up as pits, and he helped us get there on a different side. And we wanted 2 trucks in the draw for the 1,000, because if you finish top 12, you get in the draw for the 1,000. So this year's Baja 1000, me and Jesse Jones are going to team up.
Stop right there. Tell people how important that is, because strategically, being in that top 12 draw and getting, when they say the top 12 draw, there's 12 teams that basically pull out of a hat, right, on who gets what starting position.
Well, Sal hides that. You don't really know what hat it's coming out of,
Exactly.
but it's there.
Well, it's some type of calculation system which nobody has seen, but we all believe. And bottom line is, so much important goes in starting position, because it's single file. There's not like a bunch of open lines, you know, a bunch of different routes to get there. So you're stacked behind the different vehicles, and you're only going to go as fast as the guy in front of you through a lot of sections. So that's why it's so important to get that good finish, you know, in the 500, which puts you in a place for the granddaddy, the 1000, right?
Yeah, I mean, last year's, or 2 years ago at the Baja 1000, when it goes all the way to La Paz, which it's doing this year, it's kind of a lot of roads and a lot of follow the leader. So it's really key to have a truck in the top 12. And that's why, you know, me and Jesse did 2 trucks so we could see which one will get the better draw. And that's one we're going to race. And there's just so much dust and so many things that could come up. So to have a truck up front is just huge. Like last year, I think 2 years ago, Jesse was going to the championship. And he started, I forget, you know, 19th or something. And he was, by the time it was halfway over, he was already 2 hours down. No problems, no nothing, just because of dust. So we're really hoping for a top 5 and just trying to get there. And that's Menzies Motorsports' goal. Jesse Jones's goal is to win the Baja 1000.
Obviously, that's anybody's huge goal. But you know, it's well within reach the way you've been rocking it. So, question here from our boy Scotty Broman. Scotty, checking us out online. We're talking about 4-wheel, Scott. I don't know what you're doing watching, but anyway, do you want to try and win the NOR Mexican 1000 Rally in your trophy truck? And do you think you can beat Clyde and Robbie Gordon's new record for the fastest overall average speed for any Baja race ever?
You know, the NOR thing, we've been looking at that for a couple years now, and it looks like an awesome event. I don't think we'll be running the trophy truck next year, but my main goal for the NOR next year is to get my dad down in my pre-runner. And, you know, I know they have a bunch of different classes, and just put him in that thing, and our whole team's going to go down and chase him and just have a really good time. And you know, knowing my dad, if he's either going to win the thing or he's going to crash the thing. So that's kind of how it goes with him. So our goal is for NOR next year is to get my dad in the truck, just have a really good time, go have some fun, maybe put my mom in the truck, you know, let her have a fun experience. And that's kind of our goal for next year.
That's not too bad. All right, I'm checking in. Looks like your sister is online, and she wants to know, do you have a special girl in your life other than her?
Man, they ask me that all the time. I always say it depends what day it is. You know, I got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's kind of just depends on the week or the schedule. So I'm just roaming through them right now.
You guys can't hear because the ringer's turned off, but his pocket's been vibrating constantly with text messages and updates on where he's going to be moving.
I'm just trying to find the right one.
The rest of the night, yeah. I got good old Andy McMillan online right now. Hopefully, I think it's him because he came in earlier with this question. But he wants to know, in your professional racing career, boxers or briefs?
Usually,
can you show us?
Usually just go straight free ball, so I don't know if you want to see that, but that's kind of how I rock it mostly, you know?
It is hot out here in Vegas, you know what I mean? You know, I actually was in the bathroom earlier, I saw a big canister of good old monkey butt powder, so you got to keep it lean and lean,
most
clean.
chicks down here just, you know, it's easier to get that way.
Good, okay. I had one tied in from Dino asking you, you know, you seem to be on the Twitter account quite a bit, right? What's your Twitter feed?
Bryce Menzies 7.
Bryce
which
Menzies
actually
7.
right now I'm locked out of because someone hacked it, and for some reason Twitter won't give me my password or a new password back. So
Well,
if you're typing something on Twitter, I have no
Chad,
idea what's going on.
get on that immediately. But he was talking about, it seems like every third meal you're eating a sushi meal. So he wants to know, what's your favorite sushi, and over how long of a period, how much sushi do you think you've consumed in your life? More than most dolphins?
Man. Actually, I did a test with Red Bull, which they take your blood test and they tell you everything you're allergic to and like all this stuff. And one of the things that came up was mercury. My mercury level was through the roof, which is a lot of sushi. So they said when I go eat sushi, ask for fresh caught fish, all that stuff. So I eat sushi all the time. And this last month I went straight from Mexico to Redbud, Michigan. And then I went back to Mexico. So for about 3.5 weeks, I had no sushi. So the first day, I was freaking out. So the first day when I got to Vegas, my sister took me to sushi. So that was the most amazing thing I've ever done. 3 weeks without sushi is not good.
Me and you are going to sushi tomorrow. Do you have a set course menu of like, oh, I got to have this roll, that hand roll, this, sashimi? Do you have your set favorites, or is it kind of depends on how it goes? Rifle off an order with me right now.
In Vegas we have our spots we go to, and
throw a shout out. Maybe you're going to get some free meals.
Sushi Fever, and the place we go to is
Fever.
called the Fluffer Roll.
The fluffer roll.
The fluffer roll, and that's what I get.
Not after Ryan Hagee, but
amazing.
a different fluffer
But
roll.
I also, salmon. I love salmon. Halibut, all the stuff. It's kind of any kind of sushi I'm down for.
So you'll go to Sushi Fever just for the halibut.
Oh yeah.
All right.
The rolls.
All right. So Alexis Perez Castro, thank you for tuning in. Wants to know, can you come race La Paz sometime? Maybe get one of those big rocks through the fence like Rodrigo got.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of the races down there. It'd be awesome to get down there. It's just it costs so much for our team to bring all the stuff down there and go race a race like that. So maybe someday if we get a car down there and I could come down and rent a car or something like that, we'd be more than willing to do that. And I've seen some of those races; they look awesome, and hopefully in the years to come we will.
Okay. Want to know this comes from a Barack Obama tuning in with us, so I'm sure it's the real deal.
Man.
He's got nothing better going on right now.
Ralph?
You're stuck on a desert island. This is the best part about the question. You're stuck on a desert island. What 3 movies do you bring? I'm going to go ahead and assume that there's a TV and a DVD player or some type of web stream and a power source to go along with the 3
Live
movies.
internet.
Otherwise, you're just looking at box covers and not doing much. But I guess if you had 3 movies left, to reinterpret the question,
man.
you had 3 movies left that are just your go-tos. What are you going to watch your 3
I'd
movies?
probably go with Wedding Crashers.
Solid.
Absolutely amazing movie. Maybe Old School. I like that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And since I was little, always Fast and the Furious. The first one.
Really?
I was
Yeah.
so stoked.
The first one did it. I mean, it kind of corned out after that. Not that
Yeah.
the first one wasn't corny, but it still had
Since
a
then,
little
I
bit
wanted
more validity.
A car just like that. My
Yeah.
dad had to talk me out of it.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you got a couple bucks now. I saw some. Was that a Rover out front?
Yeah. New car.
New car,
New one I
new black Rover, no plates. Look for him, side sliding around Las Vegas. But
All-wheel drive drifting.
you put your foot down hard enough, and anything could happen. But you talked about Rob McCachran, bringing him in. Your dad brought him in, said it sounded like he was like Yosemite Sam, but instead of guns blazing, he had checkbooks in both hands. Basically shooting them off, checks left and right. Back in the day, making the big calls, big deals to get some great things. Obviously, it worked because we're here, with you right now with some great victories and stuff. But tell me about what that meant, having a legend like Rob McCachran to basically tutor you and help bring you and basically that learning curve help you out so much.
Yeah, bringing Rob on our team was amazing. He had who brought Dave Clark, which built mine and Rob's Pro 2, which has won I think almost 3 championships in those trucks. So that whole thing was amazing. Rob's an excellent guy. Kind of teaching wise though, he really stays a little bit quiet and he doesn't like to teach you too much. He doesn't want to give you all his secrets. So back then I was just
He's got
young.
his cards like
he
that.
He really didn't even think that I was even cared about racing. He was kind of like, just his kid. His dad's paying for him to go racing, blah, blah, blah. And that's what nowadays we always joke around. And he's like, you know what? All those times every time I would do something, you would listen or watch, And it was just amazing that my dad brought me up in having Rob and now Ricky Johnson, and just having such great guys teach me and bring me up. So Ricky's been absolutely phenomenal teaching-wise. He does military, all that stuff. So he really knows how to coach and do all that stuff. And Rob is one of the best drivers I've ever met, ever seen. And one of the biggest things I learned from him was we had a test track in Vegas, and we built a platform. And I would go stand on it and just watch him and listen to when he shifted, when he was on the throttle. And that was probably the most I've learned from that guy ever, just watching him.
Just sucking up that info, huh?
Exactly.
All right. Well, quick question here. Tom Willis chimed in earlier today. Obviously there seems to be a bit of a rivalry developing. Red Bull, Monster, Bryce, BJ. Could be the battle of the killer bees. But I got to wonder. It seems like you've obviously said you look up to BJ a lot. He was someone who influenced you. But now you're going head to head with him a lot. We got to drink a couple after beers together. I pop us some beer with Rodrigo. But there's definitely a bit of rivalry going on there. Maybe tell me about that.
Yeah, whenever you get to the top of your sport and there's energy drinks or all that stuff, but behind the scenes, me and BJ are really good friends, and when it comes down to it, it's you put your helmet on and you have one job, is to go win. And same with short course, it's the Red Bull team back east versus the Greaves team. So Monster, Red Bull, and last year we had people fighting each other and all sorts of crazy stuff. So there's people that put their heart and soul into this. It doesn't matter who your sponsors are or anything. They just want you to go win. So, coming down to it, me and BJ have been really good friends. I looked up to him. That guy has so much talent, so much car control. Just to be up there with him, or like this year we beat him by 11 seconds, is absolutely amazing because I looked up to him since I even started. So, it's a rivalry when you're on the track, but off the track, we're pretty good friends.
Yeah, I saw you off the track, and there's some fun messing around going on. And I think, I think you were messing around, and even got each other in a couple fun chokeholds at one point in time. Grabbing each other's hats, trying to toss them around. And I was saying that maybe we could get you two together in a little, not quite straight dojo or on the mats, but in a couple big sumo suits with maybe giant oversized boxing gloves
like
for charity.
Pounds heavier. He trains jiu-jitsu. He'll just kick my ass.
And it's
can't be doing that. Come on.
Sumo suit. All right, we'll figure out a great equalizer there. But I think there's something down the line to pull it off. But okay, real quick, talking about N Hunt wants to know, and this has come up a couple times, but some dude named Robbie Gordon, has put together a pretty good proposal that he's working on right now with the Robbie Gordon Stadium Super Trucks, SST. And that could really bring a lot more eyes to off-road racing. You're obviously doing the short course. You're obviously doing the desert racing. Coming back to that Mickey Thompson's off-road style stadium stuff is, going to bring a lot more eyes on off-road altogether. Two questions that N Hunt had here was, one, is that something you're looking at potentially? And two, what do you think about, the viability and stuff of that overall?
Yeah, I think Robbie's whole idea of bringing it back to the stadium it's amazing, because when I look back at, all those Mickey Thompson races, it was the crowd was
Were you even old enough?
No.
Are you watching
that was
VHS tapes
last
or
year.
what?
Yeah, last year I was looking at it. But, seeing that stuff with the crowd, it's like Supercross. I mean, they pack in 80,000 people. And to see that in Robbie's goal, and, he's a great, he's so great for our sport. He's going to bring it up so much. And we definitely looked at it. It's pretty expensive to get into, so, we're looking at it. We really want to be involved with it. We want to, get our foot in the door. I know there's going to be like 30 trucks. It's going to 13 different stadiums. So our mind is, we're looking at it. We don't have the funding for it right now, but, we want to be there one of these days.
Well, I think it could be, they'd love to have you, and I'm sure Robbie would love to, battle fender to fender in there with you. And the trucks are definitely, they're kind of like this little midget overpowered, Gusto truck. They got a lot of pull.
It's like a Pro Light with 600 horsepower.
Squished.
With a little bit more travel. It's going to be insane. It's going to be awesome.
I think it's going to be quite interesting. Marie Mack wants to know, blondes or brunettes?
Oh man, I'm definitely a blondes guy for sure.
Really?
Oh yeah. But
And does
I
the
could
carpet have
a couple beers, it just really doesn't matter.
Does the carpet have to match the drapes on the blonde theory?
No, as long as it's dyed, it's good.
It's all
Run it.
good. All right, all right. Dan 200's got a couple good questions in here. I actually saw him down at the Baja 500. What was the best birthday present you ever got?
Oh,
See,
man.
when I get a birthday present, it's like, maybe a surfboard or, when I was growing up, something like that, a remote control car. I don't get a trophy truck for a
Yeah.
birthday present. So I think some of our viewers wants to know, what's it like being a Menzies getting a birthday present?
I think the best birthday present I got was, I think it was 2009. Was it not? Yeah.
Does that go back to the blondes? and brunettes?
2009. Either or. 2009, I was going to pre-run Vegas Reno, and Rob McCachran picked me up from my house, and he had Steve Olgus, his Stewart's Racework pre-runner on there, and I'm like, what are you doing with that? And he's like, I'm borrowing it, we're gonna use it to go pre-run. And at that time we were looking at trophy trucks and all that stuff. I'm like, that truck is insanely sick. Nicest pre-run I've ever seen in my life. So we went and pre-ran the whole Vegas Reno, drove home, and when we came back to the shop, he unloaded the truck and put it in the shop. And Vegas Reno is on my birthday. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, what are you guys doing with the truck? And my dad and everybody came out and they're like, happy birthday. So I got a Stewart's Raceworks pre-runner for my birthday. So that by far tops. That's my best birthday. Just saying.
Is your dad looking for any more children? Late adoption or something like that? Wow.
He's trying to sell me now. Trying to get rid of me.
Yeah, I think it's going to come back tenfold with all the wins you keep getting. But man, having Rob Mack deliver a pre-runner like that, Race Desert Crew. What do you think about that? That's not too shabby. That's a pretty good thing. I got to get over that. Hold on a second. I wasn't ready for it. All right. Dan 200 also wants to know on the flip side of that. This is kind of a question that I might have to modify, but it says, what was your first job? And I think it could be this right now.
Man. This is my best job. I think my first job was probably sweeping the parking lot for my dad for nails, because
Really?
he had a lot of, I got $20, sweep the parking lot, pick up all the nails, and back then I was on a skateboarding, and that was the greatest thing you'd ever get. $20, come around here, skateboard.
That's low overhead.
Hang out, kind of hide behind the building, skateboard for a little bit, look around the corner. He's not looking, pick nails up. That was my first job I ever had.
All right. What was your first car?
First car I ever got was a Chevy Silverado. Red Chevy Silverado, lifted like 9 inches, huge tires. Just went full out on it, and the thing was absolutely horrible. No brakes, just turned out really bad. Then I jumped it.
I was gonna say you never
blew
crashed
the
it,
truck out
did
of
you?
it. Yeah. Told my parents I hit a curb at like 80. So
Uh-oh. This could be the first time it comes
Yeah.
to light right there, no?
I think they already know.
All right. And so first job, first car, first girl. I'll tell you about your first experience.
Oh man. Which one?
I'm just reading the questions. Dan 200's laying them down for you.
Oh,
Whatever you want to
man.
answer.
First girl, that's a long time ago. Back in junior high probably?
Yeah. And?
I don't really know.
And? Okay, diverting that one.
Went from there.
Okay. Okay, Britt Burgess, Britt wants to know, describe Jurassic Park in Crandon.
There's, in Crandon, there's the racetrack where everybody pits, and then outside is called Jurassic Park, where everybody parks their motorhomes. And I think probably half the time, the people out there don't even know that the race is going on. They're just absolutely hammered, smash. And that's where I think Brittany probably found, apple pie, which is somewhat of a moonshine. So, going back there is insane. There's slip and slide, which is naked slip and slide. They have a blow up thing that you put.
Naked slip and slide.
Yeah.
And
Naked
is
slip
that
slide.
is that legal back there? Encouraged?
I think anything's legal back there, probably.
Got it, got
I
it.
think Jack, my buddy, went down it, probably.
Yep,
Yeah, he's a
nice.
little crazy one. So, we sent him down it, but Jurassic Park is by far the most insane thing I've ever seen. And I live in Vegas, so it's pretty good.
That's pretty good. online as well. Dan 200 just can't get enough of us. What's the strangest talent that you have? Non-racing talent.
Man.
We might have to cut Dan 200 off after 10 questions.
I think
he's got some good ones.
Strangest talent. I don't know if you call it talent, but I could bend my big toe down without moving any of my other toes. Try it. Try that at home. No one can do it. Guarantee it. It's going to bend the other ones down. All the way down. Curl it.
That's all I got right there.
See? Starts moving them.
You know, Cirque du Soleil's in town. You can get a hold of them a little bit.
Might try to make some money.
Okay, Baja XP wants to know, getting back to the racing factor, when it comes to braking in the truck, 2 foot or right foot only?
Just my left foot. I gas, throttle pedal is right, I brake with my left foot, and that's how I do it in my trophy truck, short course truck.
I know that's obviously really tight with short course because you're on, off, you know, so much. But trophy truck going long distances, do you know any other drivers that are kind of right foot only drivers?
I do not know. You know, I use just my left foot. I don't really know. I mean, back in the day when I used a buggy, I would switch over back and forth with a clutch. But now, since these trucks just have, you know, turbo 400s, it's just one or the other. It's kind of how I use it.
Okay. C-Tech 4 RXJ. Either he just hit a bunch of letters or he's got a code name that we can't figure out. But C-Tech 4 RXJ wants to know, any plans for King of the Hammers? What do you think about that race? Have you gotten out to see one? Any, you know, I've been to this one this year and last year. It was really fun. Any plans to give that a little experimento?
I've watched it. The thing looks absolutely amazing. TJ Flores, you know, from here went and did it. And yeah, I talked to I think it's the promoter, the owner of the event. And, you know, I'm trying to work out some deals, trying to get some sponsors to get a car out there and do it next year. It looks absolutely amazing, so much fun to do, you know, 2 different aspects. You're doing desert, you're doing rock crawling, and, you know, I would love to be out there and try to do it next year.
That's cool. Who else? Ponce 92. Hi from Ensenada. Obviously, with RaceDesert.com, we got a lot of Spanish friends out there. Muy bueno, much appreciated. What was your favorite part of the Baja race? Was it something specific with, you know, that last 40 miles at the end? Was it just some beautiful part that you got to go through? Was it just sitting in the dust behind some other vehicle? What was your absolute favorite part of the Baja race?
I think my favorite part of the Baja race was probably contingency tech. I mean, going through that is absolutely amazing.
Oh, yeah.
All the people, all the fans.
Explain it to, I mean.
All the love. I mean, it's unbelievable. Unless you're down there seeing it with everybody, you know, going through that is just the most amazing thing I've ever witnessed or been a part of. And having all them grace us into their country and their beautiful land and race down in Baja that has to be the best part of Baja.
Wow, all right. That's pretty good. Glamis Pilot wants to know, when's the #1 truck coming out to Glamis? I saw actually in the back warehouse there a couple paddle tires. One of those things going to be laced up and come fly some dunes.
Yeah, we did it last year, or no, 2 years ago. Went out to Glamis and had some fun with the trophy truck, the pre-runner, the sand rails. I'm trying to get back out there after this year's 1,000. We're taking the trophy truck with the #1 plate, and we'll be out at the dunes, hucking some stuff. Going bigger than Robbie.
Ooh,
what's happening?
There were some good dune-to-dune jumps that Robbie's got underneath his belt, so we'd like to see how that, you know, it doesn't matter if you wad that truck, right? It doesn't matter who has to prep it and fix it. So, Wicked Gravid Video is logging on, and he wanted to know, obviously, going through Baja, what people here might not know is it's basically like Tour de France, where it's a wall of people in front of you. Sometimes you can't even see, you're just looking at the tire tracks in front of you, and then it just separates like that. Does that freak you out, and how do you deal with the fact that you could kill 100 people at any point in time, hundreds of times through the course? You know, how do you deal with that?
I think my first Baja race ever, it scared the crap out of me. I mean, going 120 miles an hour and there's people running across the course and it's like a sea parting was absolutely insane. But still to this day, coming down the course and seeing people run across or like trying to take a picture at the last second then jump out of the way, it absolutely is nothing that drivers like or want. It's never fun, you know, trying to see that. It makes it for, you know, cameras or TV or any of that stuff really cool and all that stuff, but it's really scary behind the wheel. You know, if one problem happened, it could be really bad, but
they don't understand. I mean, all the truck has to do is land a little crook, get kicked sideways,
into it.
10 feet off the main thing, and it's just body, blood gushing, crying, horrible, lawsuit, maybe not. I mean, do you just pretend that they're just, I heard other racers say that those are trees.
Yeah.
Those are moving trees that I don't even look at. Is that?
You can't really put that in your mind that if you have a flat or something, you blow off the corner, you're going to hit all these people. You kind of just have to put in your mind that they're going to move, think of, kind of just focus in front of you, get through it. Because there's only certain sections that, the people are lined like that. You get out in the open where you're doing, 100 miles where you don't see anybody. But, it's absolutely insane to see just rows of people just scattering. It looks like you're going to hit a wall until they start just spreading. It's absolutely insane.
Then they're sitting there with their little point and shoot cameras or cell phones like that,
Yeah.
pointing
then
at
they
you.
want to try to touch the truck when you go by.
Literally.
It makes it fun, but it's a little scary.
We were sitting at the start-finish line this year, and they were coming around that first left-hand turn, and I was watching guys reach out and stand right there in the middle of the road, assuming, he's going to get out of the way, and maybe not caring that he was going to get just flattened. And
Maybe they don't
I would
know
crap
that
my
we're
pants.
all as talented as they think we are. Sometimes we're just out of control, and they think we know what we're doing.
Okay. Checking in the question from Dirty, and I believe that might be Ken Johnson because I thought I saw a picture of himself on there. But do you think the new school kids, with the level of competition that they've been rocking at, how is it going to fare when they creep on up to the Pro 2 class? Guys like Bradley Moore, Sheldon Creed, R.J. Anderson, guys like that. I mean, you got a whole new fleet. You used to be the young buck. Guess what? You're kind of the old man now.
About to get kicked out.
Yeah, there's a bunch of 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, are still in high school, getting zits on their face and pubes down there ready to take you on. So how does it feel with those new kids and chomping at the bit ready to come bite you?
Yeah, back a while ago, that I was one of those kids coming up, and what I've seen this year and what the series I'm racing, which is Torque, CJ Greaves, he came up.
Yeah, CJ for sure.
We went to Charlotte. I led pretty much the whole race. They had a little bit of problem, and he went and won this first race, which is absolutely insane. The kid's unbelievable. It's his, I think, third race at Redbud, and he's pushing for second and first. And all these kids that are coming up are just from Trophy Light. They've had so much experience. Bradley Morris and R.J. Anderson, I think he's swept 2 weekends in a row or something like that. He's unbelievable.
He's all right.
Yeah, seeing him and seeing those guys coming up, I'm like, just hold off on Pro 2. Pro Light, that's where you guys need to be. Wait a little bit. So I think it's good for the sport. It's like any sport. You got newcomers coming up, and if the old guys can't hold them off, then they're gonna have to move out of the way.
Okay, this question's from Tony. Tony, put a last name in there so I know who it is. I can throw you a shout out. But how much seat time do you put in between truck races for practice, for testing, for setup? Give us an example of how much seat time you go out and get before these races.
Kind of with these trucks, they're so expensive that we don't really do too much seat time. Most of our seat time comes in the off season. Like our first race was the Bob 500 for this truck, and we put about close to 200 miles on the truck testing, trying different suspension, different setup, and that's a lot of miles. I mean, after usually 200 miles, you rip the whole truck down, motor, trans, suspension, all new bolts, and it just costs a lot. With our short course program, we'll test about probably 4 days between the whole year, and that's all we'll do. But on the off season, we'll go test, try all new stuff. So it kind of, once the season starts, you kind of just stick with what you got, change stuff here and there, but you don't really do too much testing during the season.
Okay. These questions keep coming through. They're great. Thank you guys for keeping up with us and following up your questions and keep them coming. This is very entertaining for me. If you could be any fictional character, who would you choose?
Oh, man.
Think about your favorite movie. Kenny Powers?
Probably like Superman, so I can just fly to everywhere. I hate driving,
Just convenient.
Just get
Just
right
convenient.
there. Get where I want to go.
I like that.
Coming from Mexico, 3.5 hour wait in the border. Just fly home. Be done.
That's good. Pretty simple. And Anaheim Mendez wants to know, do you have a favorite off-road driver? Other than the guy with two thumbs that you pointed out. Who's your favorite off-road driver?
I would have to say, there's a couple I've always looked up to since I started. Was, one of the first guys I've ever saw racing was, BJ Baldwin. He lived in my same town. He was, a badass. He did some crazy stuff, so I always looked up to him. Rob McCachran, who was my first, mentor, guy that taught me. So, those two names really stick out to me as guys I look up to in off-road.
Nice. We got a couple of the same schlubs who are logging on asking more and more questions. But if a bartender named a drink after you, what would it be called and what would be in it?
Oh, man.
These sounds like the dating game questions, like if you were making whoopee, where would you possibly?
It would probably be called the one night stand and just straight vodka.
Is that roofie on the top or on the bottom?
It's mixed in between.
Okay, great. Okay, do you have obviously you talked about some funny movies going on before. Do you have a favorite action movie?
I have no idea. Man.
Or are you just
Step Brothers.
That's a favorite action movie. That's good action. I like that. All right, I got a good one. This guy doesn't want to put his name because he's probably scared to ask you the question, but I'll do it. Did you get in trouble for busting the donuts at the fishing line, at the finish line this year, like Robbie Gordon did last year? 'Cause I know when you crossed in front of me and Sal had you like this, you're, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do it. You looked like Richard Nixon. Oh, no, Crook, I wasn't me. But definitely, you tried to. You try to initiate the innocence, and we'll stick to that story. But
yeah. Most people thought that I meant to do the donut, but really,
with that much time
in
on
my
the
head,
clock,
I knew I had about 20 seconds. So I'm like,
yeah,
dude, I'm gonna do a donut, just give the fans something to cheer about. No, I messed up. I did a donut, came to the finish line. Sal freaked out. He said, you're getting penalized for sure.
Right off the bat?
Right off the bat, he's like, that is not allowed. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't mean to do that. I'm racing with 11 seconds to go, trying to win this Baja 500. So after we cooled him down, finally he realized that I did it on accident. I was just pushing really hard to get to the finish, and I did not mean to do that. But he was pretty heated at the moment.
I got to ask you too.
If I was trying to copy Robbie, I would have blown out like 40 donuts and just blew the tires apart. So
nice. Well, the funny thing is, it came down to 11 seconds. We could start and then stop 11 seconds. That's a short period of time. As I was standing at the start-finish line, when BJ took off, he seemed to get a little extra sideways around the start. I would say it cost him about 11, 15 seconds. Can we be safe to say that if BJ hadn't spun out in the beginning, he might have won the Baja 500?
No, because I would have just made up more time.
Good answer. All right. Tony Peril in Canada. He's from Canada, eh? Asks us, do you ever think about mechanical issues going 100 miles per hour?
Yeah, you think about it sometimes, but after a while, that's why we hire the greatest guys. I have Pete Mortensen, who sits, co-pilot, sitting right over here, my main man.
Is that why there's a brown stain in this seat right here?
He maybe freaks out a little bit, but I know he preps the truck really good, and you just got to have trust in the guy sitting next to you, the guy that prepped the truck, the guy that's calling out the corners. And I think that's the biggest key is in desert racing is to have two people in the truck that trust each other back and forth. But it always runs through your mind when you're doing 130 miles an hour on a dry lake bed. If a wheel comes off, you're rolling 30 times. You know what I mean? So anything could happen, but you just got to have trust in the guy.
And how long does it take really to establish that trust? Because that driver, co-driver trust, is basically on there like, Bo and Luke Duke. You guys, actually, that is literally Bo and Luke Duke. Two drivers side by side flying through the air in the General Lee, in the Red Bull Geyser truck. But, how long does it take to where you're really comfortable? Because he hasn't been your co-driver, your whole run. He's had to earn it. He's had to do it the old-fashioned way and earn it. How long does it take to really establish that trust there?
Well, since I raced, I started in Class 10, which was a single seat, so I had nothing to worry about. I could just wad the thing up and just myself.
Blame yourself.
But, since day one, he was the guy that rode in this truck with me. So, it takes a while. When you first start out, you're definitely questioning. You're coming up at 100 miles an hour and he's saying, it's a 90 left. And you're like, looking, are you sure? Are you sure? And it just takes a while. And now that we've been doing it for 3 years, we won a championship last year. We just won the Baja 500 twice. So, you know, it came together. I have full trust in him. He has full trust in me, and that's what makes for a great team.
Has he ever gotten sick while driving? Mike Hawk wants to know.
I think one time, maybe Vegas to Reno 2 years ago. I think it's on graded roads, and it was just, we were just eating dust the whole way, and I could hear him over there just doing a little, I'm like, you all right? Yeah. And I'm like, dude, you gotta take the mic out, come on, please. But he pushed through. We got 2 flats, had a horrible race, but I think that's the only time he's ever done that.
I mean,
he went through it.
He's pretty ripped right now, flexing pretty hard. He's probably about a 3% body fat. Checking him out over there. Tell me about he had to jump out and do some mechanical work on the fly, huh? There's no AAA to call down there in the middle of the desert.
No, I wish we had someone that could just land and change a tire real quick. But starting 19th, you're eating dust all day. So you know you take the risk of charging and hitting rocks. And at mile 100, we hit one. And usually I get out. But finally, I'm like, dude, I think you could handle it. So luckily, I pulled up. There's a group of Mexicans up there that ran up before he was even out of the truck. They already had the spare off, running up, and I think he changed the tire in I think 45 seconds or 40 seconds or something. Absolutely amazing. He got back in. I'm like, what are you doing? We're already ready to go. It was insane. And then
that's a 120, 30-pound tire, by the way.
Just throwing it up. That's why I got him on a strict diet workout plan. A little bit of roids here and there, but you know.
keep the juice flowing for him. It seems to be working.
But then we had one more on the crossover road, and he did all that by himself. So the whole 2011, I had 1 flat the whole score series, and Baja 500 I had 3. So I think we're good with flats for a while. We're just gonna stay on the no flats.
All right, I know this, but a lot of people online, you know, might not know for 500 miles and even 1,000 miles in the Baja 1000. Sometimes, hey, you got to go. And when you got to go, you got to go. What type of apparatus is connected to you, or how do you handle, you know, when you got to take a potty break in the desert?
What I do is they make a...
Do we have one? You have one around here to show? That'd be great.
Usually I carry with me. They have it's called a catheter, which it's not like a normal catheter. It's kind of like a condom situation where
it's not an innie, it's an outie.
It's an outie. It goes over, and you just piss through a tube, and it goes out your suit to your foot. But when you're racing and you're hitting bumps, there's no possible way. Even if you have to pee as bad as ever, you can't take a leak when you're hitting bumps. It's absolutely impossible. So
you're all tighted up. So the seatbelt's just...
Yeah, sometimes it jams on the ear, lift it over a little bit, but you know, it's usually when you're on a dry lake bed, graded road, or in the pits. And most of the time when you're in the pits and you take a leak, a lot of the crew guys are like, you're leaking something, you're leaking something. So usually they want to like see what it is, and that's happened not with our team, but a lot of people I've heard of.
What is this?
They touch it, they smell it, and they're like, oh God, it's piss. So it kind of happens a lot.
And if you ever go to a race, a desert race, and you happen to see a weird little surgical tube hanging out the back or the bottom of the pants, you know, that's what that is, a straight line connection. And
Don't step on it.
I highly recommend these for long trips, like out here to Vegas. You know, if you don't want to pull over,
out the door.
Just fire that thing out the door, and it keeps you continuously going. The Texas catheter is what Scott from Torque is saying. All right, so Dixie wants to know, are you going to any Lucas races this year? Any Lore's races that you have planned on the schedule as of now?
Right now we're going to do the whole Torque series, and then we really want to go to the last Lucas race, which is the money shootout. 2 years, not last year, but the 2 years before that I got second, so I really want to go back and win it. Pro 4's won it twice. I really want to go and win that race, so hopefully this year we'll come do it, and kind of to shut up all the people that say, you know, Lucas has all the talent. And they are, no, I'm just saying, they have all the drivers, so we really want to show up and say, you know, we're coming to prove you wrong. We showed up 2 years ago, I won the first race there was.
How'd that work out?
Worked out really good.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's one of the main goals. You know, we won a championship last year. We didn't show up. This year we're going to show up and, you know, put our mark there.
All right. I think we're kind of winding down. We've been rocking for a good hour and 15. Okay, Scotty Broman again asking us a four-wheel question on his two-wheel experience. Wants to know disputes in the cockpit. You guys are going against each other. Is it pretty much just all peaches and cream, the two lovers, talking about the beautiful day out there on the Baja? Or do you guys get into it at all and say, like no, we need to, go full out, or I want to save a little bit for later? Is there any type of lover's quarrel between the driver and co-driver that, we don't get to see or hear about? Come on, it's okay, you can tell me.
Man, you can't put him out like that. No. Usually we're really good. There's, a couple years ago, we had some times where he would say right when it was really a left or something like that. But, it's going to come up. He looks at a GPS all day long. And at last year's Ball 1000, he was in the truck for 14 straight hours. So I think when we were coming over the crossover, I think he was a part asleep, just saying right, left. But it takes so much mental to, I think driving is easier than staring at a GPS. So, sometimes we'll go back and forth where at San Felipe last year, we got stuck, and I was so angry because I wanted to win the race so bad.
At Pete, it was his fault.
Not Pete, but I went insane. I just went insane, was yelling, screaming, driving the truck out insane, almost rolled it like 10 times. And he's like, please, shut the F up, stop yelling in my ear. I can't take it anymore. You're giving me a headache. And I'm like just freaking out like, are you kidding me? So, sometimes we get riled up, but most of the time we're pretty calm.
That's good. Speaking of riled up, a question comes through. How much Red Bull do you drink? I'm looking at two now in the last 45 minutes.
I have Red Bull send me pallets of Red Bull, and they always email me, what are you drinking this all? Are you selling it? Are you trying to sell it and make some money on the side? But, our guys, and I drink probably, I would say, close to 5 a day. They're here in the shop. We got a fridge. It's open. Keeps me energy. During the race, I'll have them at the pit stop. So I drink quite a bit a day.
Quite a bit keeps you going. Vitamins.
Energy.
All right. John H. wants to know, we've seen the rivalry between your teammate, RJ, Ricky Johnson, and Johnny Greaves. Is there anybody that you feel you have now or previously had bad blood with and maybe worked through it, or kind of like it's there? And that could be short course, that could be desert racing.
Yeah, my whole career I've never really had too much bad blood. I've always, I'm really calm when I race. I really put myself aside, and I always
Really? You're really calm?
Really calm.
5 Red Bulls, get in the truck, let's do this, really calm.
But some situations, I've never really had just a rivalry with one person. Sometimes when we're on the course, you'll just get super angry. Sometimes, Robbie Woods, sometimes he likes to bash you, hit you pretty good. We've had our
He's
times.
aggressive.
He's aggressive, which is awesome. And all sorts of people, Todd LeDuc, all sorts of guys just smash you, get into you. But, what I look at is like, if instead of smashing them, drive around them, and that's how you win races. You're not going forward when you smash people. So that's kind of do it. Pro 4 is maybe a different story. The guys are all-out battle, brawl, UFC fight. Ricky and Johnny.
Why is it like that?
I think it's because Pro 2 is more finesse. Pro 2 is you have to have momentum. You have to have traction. Pro 4 is you huck it in the inside, wide open, stand on it. And that's why I think there's so much more contact with Pro 4. Where Pro 2, if you hit somebody, you're just slowing yourself down. So you try to stay out of that.
Why do you think the Pro 2 or Pro 4 is the premier division? Which do you believe, and why do you think that?
I've raced Pro 4 for about a year, and I've raced Pro 2. This is my 4th year. So, I would have to say Pro 2, there's a lot of good drivers, and it takes, I think, a lot of talent and skill, and you have to have your mind to be able to use the throttle and put 900 horsepower to 2 wheels is absolutely insane. Trying to get traction, drive around people, it's all finesse. So I think Pro 2 is probably a little bit harder class.
All right. I'm getting some heckling, I'm getting some stuff. Yes, I think we did use Lucas Slick Mist on my bald head before we started. I know there's quite the sheen reeling off there, but I am an Italian wop, so I will be greasy at it pretty much every night. Who would win? You're a tall individual. BJ's a tall individual. Who would win in a foot race?
Between me and BJ?
Yeah.
Got him. You got that.
You got that. You're a little leaner.
A little leaner.
A little leaner. I don't know.
Track star right here.
I think it would all come down to who had the most Red Bulls or Monsters that day. Quick little personal question about you growing up. Did you ever have a fake ID growing up in Vegas?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely had a fake ID, which turned into a real bad story. The guy making it had my picture, stole a truck, and got back to me. Came to my parents' house. My parents got involved in it. It was not so good, but I definitely had a fake ID.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You're in Vegas. What do you do? You have to be 21.
Was your name like Ronaldo or something?
No, I went just straight up, regular name, straight up, little stash.
Just hardcore,
up.
huh? Because you got kind of a little bit of a baby face.
Yeah.
You don't exactly have a too thick of a scruff.
Especially when I was younger, they're like, come on, really?
All lanky and lean and stuff. All right. How many mechanics or crew do you employ? And then how many volunteers or helpers on top of that?
Oh man, people that work for us, we have.
Who's on the payroll?
I think we have close to 8 or 9 guys that work for us full time. And then when we go to the races, like Mexico, I mean, this year's 500, we had close to 40 people that came down. So a lot of volunteers, a lot of people that love to be down there with us, and that we really respect for coming down and helping, because we wouldn't be able to do a 500 or 1,000. You can't, employ 40 people to be at the shop or to come down to the 1,000. So it really takes a lot of people, a lot of effort, and a lot of people that like this. And short course, we'll fly people in to help us out just during the race weekend, and they have a job during the week. So, we employ about 9 or 10 people.
All right. Let's try to. Hello. Okay, this one. This added a photo too. This is Bola. She asked, "Hello. First of all, congratulations. What would that question to you is?" She's from Mexico. for you who have earned this represents the triumph, and do you think your fans in Mexico, in particular women, to which we like off-road? I'm going to try and translate that a little bit, because a little bit got messed up in the Google Translator. But obviously, this win at the Baja 500 represents the triumph and the hard work probably you've put into it. But what do you think about your fans in Mexico, in particular the women? Obviously, you got a big fan here. She's rocking the Red Bull, so
digging it.
Could be a a south of the border super fan. Might even be French. You never know.
Works.
Tell me about what do you think about the south of the border super fans?
Oh, I mean, the fans in Mexico are absolutely awesome. I love going down there. They, they blow up my Facebook. They blow up everything. Just any race I do, or to talk, or just to get me down there. And we didn't race any races. We didn't race San Felipe. Went to the Baja 500, and going through tech and just seeing all the people. And we love coming down there, supporting Mexico, and having them support us to come in their great country and pre-run, and allowing us to do what we do down there is tear up, their beautiful country and do 100 miles an hour through Ensenada and through town and come to the finish line. The Baja 1000, I mean, it was 2, 3 in the morning, and it was lined with people when we came in. So just the fans are unbelievable. There's nothing else like it in the world.
I mean, the people who are from America and haven't gotten the chance to come on down there, there's not, they don't have baseball, they don't have football. Well, they have a kind of football, but off-road racing is pretty much the heart and soul of Baja. Mainland Mexico has soccer teams, and they have other sports and stuff. But Baja, the heart and soul is off-road racing. And so when guys like Bryce and Rob Mack, BJ, Cameron, they all come through, they do great things for the orphanages, for the local economy, for the local people. It really means everything to them. They have posters up on their wall for years and years on end, and all the little restaurants and all the little houses, they invite you in and they take care of you. There's a lot of people that, will give up, their own cars, trucks, houses, anything you need to really help a Baja racer out when
definitely. And that's what this Baja 500, I mean, we went down with, we had t-shirts that we didn't use for the year pass, which have somewhat different sponsors and stuff like that. So we went down with a good close to 2,000 t-shirts, and we put them in our chase truck. We went to orphanages. We dropped boxes and boxes off, and pre-run went through Arendara and gave out probably close to 500 t-shirts just in that little town to every kid. And it's just so amazing to come pre-running through there and see every kid with your t-shirt on, to roll through there and they're just screaming. It was absolutely amazing. I love giving back to Baja.
Quick question here from Pat. If you can make one rule change in score, what would that rule change be?
I would probably say we need to go qualify. Start qualifying for start positions, which Best in Desert does. I mean, it makes for really good racing. Because if you don't race a certain race, say we didn't race San Felipe, we had to start 19th. We still came out and won, but it just makes it really hard, and I think it just brings the competition really close. So I think one really cool thing would be start qualifying, maybe do it. Everybody come down on Wednesday or Thursday, qualify down in Baja, make another day out of the event, and then go racing.
Okay, so get rid of the draw and do for a type of qualification system. That makes sense. I'm getting this a lot on the comments here, but Rock wants to know, do you think third gear really went out on BJ's truck? Obviously, when he crossed the finish line, you know, he said he was having issues with his gearing and stuff. He couldn't drive his truck any harder than he did. What's your take on that?
Oh, man, you know, when he says third gear went out at mile 90, I really hardly doubt that, because I don't think you could be leading the race without third gear. There's no way. So, you know, some people say it was slipping here and there. I could believe that, it's slipping. But I've seen videos of him going through the beach section wide open, 110, 120 miles an hour.
Explain the transmission to, you know, someone, if they're watching, just the gearing.
Yeah, it's automatic transmission, just like what's in a Chevy truck or anything. It's turbo 400. You just shift from first to second to third. You don't need to lift off the gas, and there's no clutch. And, you know, kind of, if what he was saying was the third gear went out, you can't even use third gear. So in second gear, max speed is probably 80, 90 miles an hour.
And that's
so
high revving.
High rev to the moon. It's going to blow the motor. So usually when people see that, there's no way you could run third gear. So I think what he was saying was it started slipping at mile 90.
Yeah.
Had it here and there, but I don't totally believe the whole story.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of gray room there, you know, with what he's saying. He just came across the finish line. He could have been talking about, you know, having slipping issues and things. A lot of people say my brakes went out, and they're just
still there. They're just slippery. That's
yeah.
what I was saying. I think what he meant to say was, which maybe he did say, I just maybe took it different, which was third gear was slipping here and there, but third gear wasn't out.
What's your favorite restaurant across all lands, here in Vegas or anywhere you've been to?
Oh, man. I think some of the best, I would have to say, is one is Sano's, Ensenada Steakhouse. Absolutely amazing. You have to go there. I go there every time I'm down in Baja.
Hey, on the Baja thing real quick, I've seen lots of racers go down there, and they don't touch anything out of the cooler all prior to the race, you know. Pistol Pete's one of these guys. It's just PB&Js and bologna sandwiches for 2 or 3 days on his way down there. Other guys like Cameron Steele are very easily, you know, on the local main menu and grab out of the taco stand and go just rock gut. How do you approach it?
We go down with water, Gatorade, and some lunch meat just in case we are stuck in the middle of nowhere. Other than that, we go straight to local taco stands, restaurants in Ensenada. You know, Valley Tea has a great taco place. We eat all the food down there. I love it. I think it's absolutely amazing. So, you know, I live off the food down there when I'm down there, and when I get back, I live off the food down here.
You know, belly issues though, because I know when I got back, I had.
I've never really had an issue when I'm down there. I've heard of people that have had problems when they're
really
down there.
Never had any Baja belly.
I've never had Baja belly.
Are you aware what
I'm
Baja
gonna knock
belly
on
is?
wood because of 1,000, I don't want any of that.
Are you even aware of what it is? The fountain that gets turned on, basically.
I think I'm aware of it.
I think
once you cross the border and eat American food, that kind of puts it right back.
It really didn't kick in until I got back home, but I was making 6-8 trips, high-speed laps, to the bathroom, and read every mag in there. So it just happens. It's a part of Baja, but I'm not going to give up my meat on a stick at the taco stand for anybody. And going off that, tell me a little bit about, you know, you look all right. You don't look dead. You went to Mexico. You went to Baja. You know, obviously what's propaganda in the media is just so much hype, drug cartels, killing, all this. But, you know, what a lot of people don't know is it's pretty safe. You know, I went down there. I'm not dead. And there's still, for the people who are scared to go to Baja, you know, it kind of sucks for them because of how great it is. I used to go there unsupervised when I was 15, 16 and stay till, the waves were bad and there was no more fun to be had. I ran out of money. But tell our viewers a little bit about, the safety and the vibe and the feel, south of the border. A lot of people are scared to go down.
Yeah, I just would like to say sorry for the people that aren't going down there, because it's absolutely
blowing it.
amazing. You're missing out on so much beauty, so many amazing people, just all the way down the Baja California Peninsula in Mexico is absolutely amazing. I've been going down there since I'm 13 years old. Me and my dad riding dirt bikes. We used to go down a trip every year for 4 days straight and ride. And ever since all that stuff happened, most people see the news in Mexico, which is mainland, and they see a lot of the drug cartel, a lot of the bad stuff happening, but that's mainland. None of the stuff happens.
And it's on TV. They'll grab anything.
They'll just post that just to get hype off their TV, so they get followers or whatever they're doing. But down in Baja California, it's absolutely amazing. I've never had one problem, never had anything stolen, nothing go wrong, and it's one of the greatest places. I love going down there. You could go down there, ride your dirt bike right through the most beautiful country, where nowadays in America you can't do that. You're in trouble.
No.
So it's just unbelievable, and I'm actually glad that people are scared to go down there, because it gives all of us racers and other people all the joy of going down there and having fun.
And just so you guys know too, if you have any question and you get scared about Baja or the murders or this or that, just turn on Fox News or any channel any night of the week and just start counting the murders on your finger. And people have been eating each other's faces and crazy stuff like that lately. And that's here in the U.S. And really think about all the bad stuff that goes on around you every day and how come you're just callous to it. But when they say anything about Baja or the crime that goes on there, oh, it's red flag and it's so crazy. Don't believe the hype and get down there, really take advantage of it. There's a lot of great hotels, great places, and amazing deals. Because of tourism has been hurting the last 5-7 years, they're doing amazing deals right now. You could go down and get a whole smoking weekend trip for pennies on the dollar compared to what it used to be. So really take advantage of it. But I think we just got a few more questions. Baja XP wants to know, are the booby traps, I love saying the word booby, are the booby traps
I'm like, wait.
and rock throwing in Baja, give me a squeeze, are they getting any worse or better? Booby traps, just tell them what happens.
A booby trap is where the locals or people down there, they like to dig holes or set up, rocks or barbed wire fences, so you run into it, you crash, and they could take the panels off your truck or your bike or your quad or any of that stuff. So, last year at the Baja 500, when we started first, there was quite a bit of them, but we had a helicopter which actually helped us. And this year, I think we only ran into like one or two, which they like to build like 3-foot walls, which absolutely hurts really bad.
Yeah.
And you want to just turn around and kill some people. But, it hasn't been that bad. There's just certain things that the kids, the fans, they like to see trucks jumping. They build jumps, which is totally fun, cool. But it wasn't that bad this year.
And yeah, they'll go ahead and leave the water on all night. So these guys will pre-run just the day before, sometimes even the night before, and they come back the next day, and all of a sudden
Flooded.
there's a 2-foot deep, puddle and a railroad tie buried, right before it. They just they want to see you do some crazy Evel Knievel jump or something like that.
Well, it's like this year they said
Yeah.
A water main broke and flooded the wash, but for some reason
It only
that
happens.
water main breaks before every race.
Yeah.
So they just like to see the water and people sliding out and getting mud roosted all over them. So, it's all good. It's all fun.
Yeah, I actually am all for that, because that makes them for some of the best action when you see trucks just blazing through the mud in the start of the race. Luckily for everybody, though, they went through the muddy water, and then there seemed to be some clean water after that, so it was kind of a
Clean
car
right off.
wash. Yeah, so got to make sure those sponsors get in there. I'm looking at the racedesert.com odds sheet here, and we see some good odds, and Juan Lopez was up at the top with his odds for the overall 500, and you were way down in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You were down the list here, coming in, I think, at 7-1 odds, taking it.
Should've bet on that.
I should have been in there
thinking?
at Caliente making some bets on
$1,000,000
that.
on that have been set for life now.
What do you think about our little odds maker sheet here?
I think that's awesome. People love putting that on, the internet and placing bets, and then at the end of the day, like when we don't go race a Baja race, our whole team will bet $1 on, who's going to win. and it just makes it that much more fun. So I think that's an awesome idea to put odds on people. But, I just want to say every time I'm racing, just pick me. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I know. Also, we talked a little bit earlier about all the drivers. I mean, bottom line, you're looking at almost a $500,000 truck. You're looking at another $500,000 in expenses going down there for some of these races. This isn't a poor man's sport. This isn't like grabbing, a used basketball or soccer ball and trying to kick it, in a square or through a hoop. You gotta have some dough to play this game. A lot of money going into it. That's a lot on the line there. I mean, out of the back pocket, where do you keep that dough?
Oh man, I usually don't hold it
too
much,
But here's the thing. For first place, you think NASCAR, even last 29th place is walk away with $200,000-300,000.
Yeah.
You get first place and win the Baja 500. What did you collect?
I think it's close to $7,000.
$7,000.
Which it probably won't even pay for the race fuel for the truck.
Yeah, it doesn't even pay for your gas. I was going to say maybe that spring right there, that race spring is $7,000. He's got to go take it in and get it all revalved and stuff anyway. I mean, an overhaul, a complete race prep overhaul, is in the tens of thousands, right, for your vehicle. So $7,000, it's might pay for some tacos for the crew, especially with how Pete eats over there. But I mean, ultimately, why do you think that is in the sport? Why do you think it's not in the tens of hundreds of thousands or millions?
I just think it's not seen enough by viewers or on TV, and I think that's why there's a lot of people trying to push it as the Torque series that are doing 2 live events in short course, and Robbie Gordon's trying to do this new stadium truck thing, and Lucas Oil, and I think it's really good that we have all these people trying to push it to build up our sport, because I think our sport's one of the greatest sports not seen by all the viewers, throughout the world. And I think once they see it, it's going to keep growing. And I think our sport is growing. I mean, we have, so many sponsors that are bringing us to racing, like my sponsors from Red Bull to, KMC to BFG to everybody else's, all the energy drink sponsors from BJ's to Rob's to everybody else that's getting out there. And I think it starts out, you have to have backing to get involved. And that's where my dad, my mom, my family helped me out to get there. And we finally made it to a point where we're getting sponsors to help pay for it and making it a profit business. But it also, when you go down to these Baja races, it's kind of just pride. When you win the Baja 500, you have it on there, you say, hey, I won the Baja 500. It doesn't.
That's priceless, right there.
It's priceless. It doesn't matter how much money you spent. You're not going to get it back from winning it. You're going to win $7,000. You could, pay for 3 guys that went down with you or something like that.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of more the glory, the pride of it. Standing on top of your truck, holding up the number 1 and saying, I beat the rest of you 40 guys out there.
Where is that number 1 plate anyway? That's around here somewhere, right? That sits on this vehicle here, the number 1 plate right now.
It's built into it.
Yeah. How much pride comes through running that number 1 plate? I mean, they say there's a recession going on, but I counted 30, 40 trophy trucks lined up. These guys running, $1 million programs to get their truck into competition and all the expenses that go along with that. There was only one dude rocking a number 1 plate. I mean, that's got to be a lot. And he's still kind of the new kid on the block. Like I said, there's 50, 60-year-old guys who've been doing it, back since they had brown hair and it didn't turn gray or fall out. You got a number 1 plate in just a really short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, we've raced this race 3 times now, and we've won it twice. So it shows what our team is doing and why we love this sport. And I think what you were saying before is the economy is really bad right now, but there's 37 trophy trucks out there. So it just shows the love and passion that all these people have for this sport and how great it is that they're going out there when, most of these people live off of, their companies, and this is a hobby to them. So when they're coming down and putting money into it, it just shows that this sport is so great, and that's why the reason that we do it. And hopefully we get some more people to follow and get bigger purses and make this thing a lifelong, sport.
Absolutely. I think I got one more good question for you, and that's taking off your athlete hat. First, real quickly, are you an athlete or are you a driver?
Both.
Really?
I'm a Red Bull athlete, but I'm also a professional driver.
Ooh,
so,
you got me on that one.
Throws it out there.
You got me on that one. All right, well, taking off your driver athlete hat for a second, I'm putting on your businessman hat. From your time around off-road and what you've seen, what would you do, and what do you think the answer is to get it to that NASCAR, Tony Stewart, multi-millions level? What would you do or try to get done or like to see in off-road to get it to that just multi-zillion dollar level?
You know, when I look at our sport, and you know, my family and us has talked about this many of times because we're investing so much time, money, all that stuff into it, is, you know, NASCAR's been around for how many years? Forever. I mean,
since moonshining days.
Yeah, exactly. They
all
started
moonshine.
out when there was no TV, no nothing. So I think it's just going to take our sport a while to get there. I mean, it's getting there. We have, you know, we used to race short course, race desert where it was on TV. Now we're getting it to where it's a point where we're racing on live TV, which is absolutely huge. So, you know, I think it's just going to take a while, and having the right people behind the series is going to be able to push it. And I think, you know, we have about 3 or 4 series out there right now that are pushing it in the right way, and I think it's going to grow and keep growing. And I really like Robbie's idea of putting it back in the stadiums where we can get 30 or 40 or 50,000 people following that, and having all the different venues and different short course desert. I think it's going to grow. It's going to get there. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
All right, well, you heard it from the horse's mouth right there, Bryce Menzies. I'm Ryan Dival. We've been sitting here for 1 hour and 42 minutes or something like that. That's longer than any Oprah interview last time I checked, you know, with only one beer, Red Bull on the table. We are in Vegas. I think there's probably a couple of bars or nightclubs calling our name. I could hear them from afar, but, you know, we really want to thank Camp Menzies, you, Bryce, as well. You know, Pete, your co-driver, for basically helping you to make it happen here in the Baja 500 win. I want to thank Jen for setting things up, the whole Race Desert crew, everybody who logged on. You know, great questions, some screwed up ones in there as well, I'm not going to lie. But
Loved it.
For our first Ask Me Anything, I think we did a pretty good job, you know, once again. I'm Ryan Dival, and thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure and check back with us again for the next racedesert.com Ask Me Anything. Bryce, peace, thank you.
Thanks for all the great questions.
All right, bye-bye.